Today in history, in 1943, Swiss chemist Albert Hofmann discovered the psychedelic properties of LSD, a drug he had first synthesized in 1938. Mazel tov.
Welcome to What the Fuck History, where we discuss the wackiest and weirdest things that make us say, well, what the fuck history. I am your host, Zachary, and we're going to talk a little bit about leprosy tonight, folks.
My name's Megan, and I feel like my topic's a little irreverent now. Go ahead, Matt.
And I'm Matt. Today you learned that yesterday was Zedie's birthday, and she turned 6.
Oh, what a girl.
What a girl. I would reach out to Zedie for comment, but she is currently curled up in a bed, and I do not want to bother her.
And
That's
last
fair.
time I talked to Zedie, her only comments were...
Yeah,
So,
no.
you know,
They were wild panting.
She is,
fervent panting.
she has not changed.
I kind of figured.
She has not changed her platform in a number of years,
Look, you don't fuck with greatness, you know?
so... I'm starting to get frustrated because my dog is unfortunately allergic to many things. And
Okay.
side effects
too.
of allergies, as most humans would know, are excessive scratching because itchy.
Yeah.
And we don't really have an equivalent of this, but in the dog world, panting is a sign of being allergic. Or that, like...
Is it?
So my parents are just like, she's scratching and panting a lot. And I was like, yeah, I gotta go get her a shot, I guess. And they're like, okay, well, do that. And I was like, you know what else would help? Is if you stop letting her eat the other dog's food, please, thank you.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
It's like, she is
No.
allergic to their food. Please stop letting
Yeah.
her get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we want to let her get it.
Yeah, no, I get it.
No, yeah, I get it.
But
I mean, I
Like,
get it. Like,
you know?
they can't look at her 100% of the time, but they also could be better about picking up
Yeah.
the food when it's down so that she's not eating.
Yeah. No, I get that. Like, if you just pay a little bit more attention, that'd be fucking great, yo.
Yeah. So
Did we decide an order?
we didn't actually, so we can do that
No.
in the episode.
Wow. Wowee.
First time ever we've done it in the episode, folks.
And we're coming to you live.
Live
We are
from
coming.
our basements or living rooms or my story is kind of like a not much happens. So
Okay. Mine is a
we can also
little
cut this out of the
slightly
episode.
shorter.
Nah, it's fine. I mean, mine's like a page and a half, you know?
Okay, so yours is the longest, so we should probably front load it.
Front load Zach.
Well, I guess we're talking
So the-
about leprosy early tonight, folks.
So Zach's first. Megan, do you have a preference?
No, I think like ours could be interchangeable. So in
Your
terms
mic
of
is kind of fucking up. For me, at least.
Yeah.
yeah, sorry, it's my phone.
Nope.
Our stories are probably like interchangeable. So like in length.
Yeah.
So I think I could go at the end. I haven't been at the end
Do
for
you
a
want
while.
to rock, paper, scissors for it?
Sure.
All right.
Okay, ready?
Rock, paper,
Rock,
scissors,
paper,
shoot.
scissors, shoot. I did paper.
I did scissors.
Okay.
We still
you
don't know
win.
what that means. So I guess I'll go in the middle and you can go left.
We still have No clue what that means.
I just want you guys in the audience to know that get to hear this portion of the podcast because Zach will leave it in, but it should be cut for the audience that doesn't pay for our Patreon. Not that we don't love you, but you get it.
Not that I don't love you, but, like, whatever.
The reason that we retired doing rock, paper, scissors is because we did not determine what winning rock, paper, scissors meant. Like, eventually we were just like, we have to stop this because we don't know
what this even means.
What this is. Okay, so Zach first, then Megan, or Zach first, then me, then Megan. Okay, we can kick it off.
All right, go ahead, Zach.
All right,
Tell us about leprosy.
Here we are.
All right, listeners, we have set our strikes to 0. We have played an entirely fictional game of rock, paper, scissors, and one real one.
It was real.
And the order for tonight is Zach, followed by me, followed by Megan.
So let's get into leprosy, huh?
Love it. Megan was on a big leprosy kick a few weeks ago. And by a few weeks, I mean like a few months.
I know. I do know a lot about leprosy. So.
She loves lepers.
Let's
love
some lepers.
I'm like Father Damien.
So we're going to be talking not specifically about leprosy, the disease, but specifically about a guy who had it, because that makes a little bit more sense to me. Tonight, I shall be conversing with y'all about King Baldwin IV of Jerusalem.
This is a really fun story because I know about King Baldwin.
I feel like, I don't know why, but he's gained some traction recently. Like, maybe it's just me and my weird
on the web,
algorithm.
on the World Wide Web?
Probably because a lot of people on fucking YouTube Shorts and Instagram do those movie cut-ups, and he's the subject of The Kingdom of Heaven, starring Orlando Bloom.
Ah.
Why do you know that, like, off the top of your head?
So people are probably getting those little snippets and being like, who's this motherfucker?
Yeah. Definitely that's exactly what it is. So Big Bad Baldy, which I'm only going to call him this
as
once
his friends
because it's
knew
just
him.
fucking weird, was born in 1161 and named after his godfather and then king of Jerusalem, King Baldwin III. There's a lot of Baldwins in this story. Get ready.
Hell yeah.
And at his christening, because this is 1161 and the Crusades are high and mighty, and they're all Frankish Catholics, at his christening, Baldwin IV's uncle, Baldwin III, says, "Haha, I know what I'm bringing for a gift. I give my nephew the kingdom of Jerusalem. Ha ha ha. Yeah, that won't come to bite me in the ass. Ha ha."
Why is that such a joke?
Well, the line of succession for Baldwin IV was, like, probably never gonna fucking happen. Like, his uncle was king, meaning that the only way that he would become king of Jerusalem was if, when Baldwin dies in 1163, he dies completely heirless. What a fucking virgin. And the kingdom passes to King Baldwin's daddy, who immediately is forced to leave his wife because the nobles don't like his wife. So Baldwin IV is declared a legitimate heir because we care more about a man's heir or man's son than we do his wife. So
it's true.
We do. That's confirmed.
I care mostly about my friends' sons as opposed to their wives. As far as the laws of succession are
as
involved.
far as the laws of succession go, yeah. So basically, like, I laugh because, it's never going to come to bite him in the ass.
And then
he thinks this because, the line of succession was never supposed to go this way, but fate has other plans.
The other plans are for him to die a virgin.
Yeah. I don't actually know. So, I don't know if he dies a virgin. I was just
Can
making
we
a joke.
talk about the fact that he definitely didn't get bitches?
He definitely didn't get bitches. 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 He definitely didn't get bitches.
Yeah, he definitely didn't.
Canonically,
Maidenless.
he's maidenless.
He is maidenless.
No maidens?
Listen, we don't make the rules, we just look at the facts.
Yeah.
Just the facts. No bitches.
No bitches for this guy.
Yeah, so Baldwin is pretty much having a normal childhood as his dad is now the king of Jerusalem, but he's doing his best to just be a kiddo. And he's hanging out and getting very well educated and getting yelled at by clerics because, again, Frankish Catholics, yada, yada, yada. And this is pretty usual for a Frankish boy in Jerusalem. But one particular cleric, William of Tyre, notices one day while Baldwin is out in the schoolyard on the jungle gym or whatever the fuck you had back in 1163.
It was the jungle gym.
It was the jungle gym. The jungle gym has been around since the dawn of time. Deal with
Yeah.
it.
Ever since they could forge swords, they could make jungle gyms,
They can
guys.
make jungle gyms. Imagine if it was like the Iron Jungle Gym and it's just a jungle gym made out of swords.
Yeah, that's what the,
I would
that's
respect it.
canonically what the Iron Throne from Game of Thrones is supposed to look like.
Just a big bubble.
A jungle gym of
Just a big bubble of swords.
Imagine if there's a fucking AI art of a jungle gym made of swords, and then George R. R. Martin is just like, that's exactly what I was picturing.
Perfect.
I can respect it.
It's going to take me 35 years to write my next book.
Brother, why does he sound like that in your brain?
That's what he sounds like in real life, dude.
No, that can't be true.
Yes.
That can't be true.
It is so true. It's like, go look up a clip of George R. R. Martin, and you're going to be like, oh, okay.
How the fuck do you write books so fast?
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, I love that interview with him and Stephen King.
Yeah, no, it's so good. Anyways, please continue.
So, yeah, he is doing his thing, and then William, this cleric, notices that Baldwin is oddly cool with, like, being pinched and punched and poked, as long as it's only in his right arm that the abuse was coming. And they later find out by talking to this small child that, like, the reason that he doesn't mind the roughhousing as long as it's on his right side is because, well, Baldwin the Fourth has no feeling in his right arm. That's, like, totally normal, right? Like, that's just kid stuff, right?
Yeah.
Right?
That's kid
Yeah.
stuff.
And that didn't matter because everyone was just kind of like, okay, yeah, whatever, fine. Kid's a little weird. We'll deal with it. And he just keeps going along about his normal life, and soon he was being taught to ride a horse because that's something that you were done at, when you got old enough. And it's wild how he rides horses because, again, he's got no feeling in one whole ass hand, so he's steering only with his knees, which is buck wild. Like,
That
I
is
don't know
actually
if
pretty
either
crazy.
of you have ridden a horse, but, like, just steering with your knees is a fucking feat at the age of 13.
I have ridden a horse, and that is crazy.
It's bananas. That's some fucking horse archer ass bullshit, and I'm here for it. And at this point, they're like, yeah, you can't feel anything in your right hand and your whole right arm, and, like, you're kind of prone to, like, numb spells and dizzy spells. I think, hey, you might have a hint of the leprosy, you know?
I have bad
And-
news.
I got bad
It's
news
leprosy.
for you, kid. You have leprosy. But they actually hesitated to give Baldwin a full, like, leprosy diagnosis because, A, he had no visible symptoms, and B, if they diagnosed him with leprosy as a child, he would have been forced to join the Order of St. Lazarus, which, I know as I say that sounds really fucking cool, but when you're the
It's
one
not.
being forced to become a holy knight until your body decomposes on the battlefield, I don't think it's as cool. Like, the idea, great. In execution, I don't think I'd want to do that. And so, in 1174, Baldwin's dad, the current king, gets a case of the Oregon Trail and dies of dysentery.
Oh,
Love that for
Rip.
him.
Which isn't great. because the only apparent heir is little baby Baldwin, who's only 13
Little
at the
baby
time.
Baldwin the leper.
Little baby Baldwin the leper, yeah. So, again, everyone's like, are we sure we want this guy to be king? He's not an adult, and he definitely has leprosy, right?
He's also a leper.
So, like,
We're
is
also
this the guy we
sensing
want on the throne?
leprosy.
So, yeah, they didn't really have a choice, though, which is the problem, because there was no other, like, good apparent heir. Baldwin's dad had one daughter who was 2 years old at the time, so, like, that's not a good heir. And his aunt at the time was, like, not married to anyone. So, it was just a bad situation overall. And so they were like, okay, I guess we have to, raise this leper teenager to the fucking throne of Jerusalem because we have no other choice. And they did this, and they crowned Baldwin IV as king of Jerusalem with a huge ass asterisk that if his younger sister gets hitched and his health declines, they're absolutely kicking him off the throne before Cloroxing the shit out of it and placing his brother-in-law on the fucking throne.
I'm fairly certain they just built him his own throne made of little pieces of driftwood that they could just burn after he died.
Probably.
That sounds right.
That's not the truth, guys. I'm just like,
But
it's
I like
just,
to think that. I like to think that Baldwin got it.
their only way to cleanse anything was with fire. So I was just like, to make it easier, we made his throne out of pure driftwood.
He has a bespoke driftwood throne.
Easy
It's
cleanup.
his only.
Baldwin the Fourth sits here.
This is only Baldwin's seat. Deal with it. And so he's like, he has a regent at the time, who's like kind of taking care of his business, but he's like, he grew up like learning how to fucking rule because his dad was king.
Yeah.
But one of the first things that Baldwin does when he gets some real power 2 years after his coronation, because apparently you're an adult when you're 15.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Common sense. I, too, had my frontal lobe fully formed at the age of 15 and was not doing stupid things.
I knew it.
Here's a weird take, but I think he was probably conditioned to do less stupid things.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't afford to.
Yeah, I mean,
his dad
that's
probably
true.
sat down with him one day and was like, listen, son, when I bite the dust, and God knows I will, you gotta step up, and we can't have you being put to the sword 5 seconds after you ascend. So, get your head out of your ass.
Pretty much.
It's the exact same situation as, modern day football stars who say, my dad really pressured me into football, probably wouldn't have joined football,
Yeah. Except instead of you don't have the sideline coach dad, you have the
I'm the king before you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
you're literally royalty, don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
So one of the first things that Baldwin does, Baldwin IV, when he gets real power at the age of 15, the ripe old age of 15.
Well, that's middle age for him.
I know, honestly.
It's better with leprosy? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is he actually doesn't renew a particular peace treaty with Saladin, the ruler of Egypt. Because at the time, Saladin,
he's 15.
who's the ruler of Egypt, is also out. One more time?
No, he's 15. When I was 15, I was thinking about anime, so...
He just forgot, one contract.
Look, he didn't forget the contract. He purposely let it lapse. It wasn't like he was sitting there binging Naruto.
Oh, he purposefully did this.
Oh, he knew what he was doing.
He knew what he was... again, I'm actually baffled by the brains of this 15-year-old because it was really smart. Saladin, at the time, is basically conquering all the Muslim
nations
in Syria well, now modern-day Syria. Like, all the principalities in Syria. And it's surrounding the Frankish-controlled Crusader states. So, by not renewing this peace treaty, Baldwin was basically like, hey, back the fuck off, or I will come fuck you up. He threw down his leperic gauntlet the second he could. And
same.
I guess this starts a war, because what are you going to do when you're 15? Start a war? Abso-fucking-lutely.
Okay, again,
I mean,
when
why not?
15 is your middle age,
he's
doing just having a midlife crisis.
Again, but it was like the most strategic midlife crisis I've ever fucking heard of, and it's great. And so Jerusalem goes to war with Egypt, and like an absolute Chad, despite having only one good hand, take my good hand, Baldwin refuses to fight from the war room and is leading fucking charges from the front lines.
As he should.
Why not? He's got a dope mask and he's ready to kill.
Because when you can steer your horse with your knees, you're the coolest fucking guy on the battlefield.
He was the coolest fucking guy on the battlefield. And the best part about him being so cool is this leper king made the ruler of Egypt fucking shake in his space boots constantly. Like, Saladin was terrified of Baldwin IV, and for good reason. Like, he constantly kicked Saladin's ass.
Yeah.
So, he's leading the charge against Saladin's army. Baldwin comes down with malaria at one point, and Saladin's like, finally, a fucking break. I'm gonna attack Jerusalem. And
finally, Baldwin, I can do what I've always wanted to do. Attack Jerusalem.
Attack Jerusalem. It's 1100 something. We must attack Jerusalem. It's all we want to do. And Baldwin, from his fucking bed and dying of malaria and fever, is like, well, shit, here I go again. And he's like, I guess
here I go killing again.
Here I go. He literally is like, I got malaria. I guess I just better suit up a little bit harder and ride. And so he rides from wherever he is to Jerusalem, because he was like, I'm on bed rest, dude. I can't go fight. And then someone was like, well, Saladin's coming to attack Jerusalem. And he goes, never mind, I can fight. And so
suit up.
Saladin's forces meet at Jerusalem, and Saladin outnumbers him heavily and goes on the full offensive because he thinks that Baldwin's still on bed rest and that his forces are like triple what, Baldwin's forces are. And Baldwin still goes out to meet him in battle to give him the middle finger, and then also, because what's that? It's the Knights Templar with a steel chair. Baldwin had that in his fucking back pocket, and he recalled the knights from Gaza, and they just smashed Saladin's army to bits.
Casually recalls the Knights Templar.
Yeah, like, because you casually recall the Knights Templar to help you out. I guess when you're the king of Jerusalem, that's your power.
That is your power. In Civ 6, actually, I remember this.
And Baldwin, again, kicks the shit out of Saladin once again, and Saladin is retreating, but there aren't enough forces, despite the Templar backup, to go after the retreating Egyptian army, so Baldwin does the only logical thing, and that is say, fuck you, I'm building a castle on the River Jordan.
As you do.
That's the only logical thing.
As you do. He's like, you want to try to take my city, I'm going to just build a castle on your land. Go fuck yourself.
He had nothing. His hands were tied.
His hands were tied. There's only so much you can do.
And he couldn't feel it on the right.
Yeah, he couldn't feel the right one.
Oh, yeah, that's... Fuck.
And so
I forgot.
This fighting continues on, and points are won and lost, and if I detail every battle between Baldwin IV and Saladin, I will be here all night, and I'm already over time as it is. But the main thing is there's a whole bunch of fighting, and this kind of pseudo-crusade between these two people goes on for a while. And in 1183, we're going to jump back in. And at this point, Baldwin is not doing so hot. He's like 25, and it's a miracle he's lived this long. He can't walk unsupported anymore, and he can't use either of his hands. He can't blink, so his corneas have dried up and he's gone blind. But Saladin, he gets word that Saladin's marching south, so he says, well, here I go again on my own, going down the only road I've ever known. And he rallies his army.
And so again, the fighting with
he fucks up Saladin again. And it is what it is. Saladin never fucking learns. So in order to keep shit on the straight and narrow between the nobles and the day-to-day business, because he can't fucking read because he's fucking blind, and he also can't write because he can't move his fucking arms, Baldwin appoints his brother-in-law, Guy, his brother-in-law's name is Guy, as the new regent of the Kingdom of Jerusalem. And Guy at this point is basically a vassal. He owns like a little bit of land and is the king's brother-in-law, so he's like, all right. Baldwin basically says, hey, I need you to run the day-to-day shit, and that makes you the regent, but you need to promise me, if I still draw breath, don't go do anything fucking stupid, and don't try to name yourself king, don't try to usurp me, don't try to do anything dumb. And again, people, can we at least knock on some fucking wood before making some dumbass statements?
We could.
Because
absolutely not.
We could.
We're not gonna.
And we should, but we're not gonna. Because in 1184... Baldwin is like, hey, Guy, you need to come pay me a visit so we can go over some stuff. Because, I'm nearing the end of my life and I want to make sure my shit's in order. And Guy says, hey, man, I got, this head cold. Can we reschedule for,
Hey, I'm not feeling my best.
Not my best. I ran out of Benadryl and it is allergy season. Can we reschedule?
Can we reschedule?
I just want to point out his name's not Guy. It's Guy.
It's not Guy?
I'm pronouncing it Guy,
What's his name?
Okay?
For how douchey he is, yes.
Yes. Pronounced properly as Guy, he's Guy to me.
Yeah.
Although I think that's an insult to Guy Fieri, so I won't do that.
You know what? It might be. You're you're screwed either way.
I'm screwed either way. I'm going to change it up to Guy. It is what it is. So, Guy keeps rebuking him constantly, and so Baldwin's like, damn it, I'm going to have to go to you. So Baldwin goes to visit Guy at Guy's city, and he won't even open the fucking gates for the King of Jerusalem. Baldwin manages somehow to lift up an arm and knock on the door, and Guy's like, go fuck yourself.
Brother, why you here?
Brother, why are you here? And so clearly, it's insubordination time, and looks like there's a civil war about to be brewing. Well, Saladin is like, man, maybe I should get back on my bullshit again. So
maybe it's time.
In a power move, big dick energy play, Baldwin goes to the city next to that Guy technically also is a vassal of, or an owner of, and he appoints a brand new governor in this city, and it basically steals away half of Guy's kingdom. Because he can.
Absolute
He's just
hero.
all right, fine, you want to fuck around, you're about to find out. I'm cutting your land holdings in half. Fuck with me now.
He's an absolute Chad.
Yeah, it's the only reason that a civil war does not break out is because Saladin is once again on his bullshit and is trying to, march up from the south. And despite once again driving back the Egyptian ruler, Baldwin gets another one of his pesky fevers, but it looks like he ain't making it through this one, folks.
That's a shame.
With his last moments, he appoints his nephew, also named Baldwin, that's Baldwin the Fifth, as his successor.
We have to find new names.
Gotta keep
We
the
have to do
Baldwin
that.
name.
No,
Well, I mean, it's no
not even
different
that
than the Justinians in the Justinian Empire.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we needed we needed them to stop too.
So Baldwin V, who is a teeny tiny child once again, like the Baldwin before him, is named king of Jerusalem after Baldwin IV finally
the
kicks
dust.
it.
Finally
And sadly
passes from this mortal coil.
And all of Baldwin IV's really good hard work is all for naught because his nephew, the new king of Jerusalem, Baldwin
Immediately
V,
fucks it up.
immediately dies.
That's
What
fucking
the-
it up.
He fucked it up. This child kicks the bucket, and he is succeeded by his mother, who then
Yeah.
gives the crown to that bitch Guy, who immediately
my
gets his
God.
ass
No!
kicked and loses the entire kingdom of Jerusalem to Saladin in 1187.
Yeah, just a terrible, terrible
bullshit.
time.
Just a fucking idiot. Like, you tried to start a coup that one time, and then you got power, and you fucked it up
You
immediately.
fucked it up.
Yeah, it's...
Man.
God
It's
damn it,
so
Guy.
stupid, Guy. Guy's the worst. But yeah, so that is the story, more or less, of Baldwin IV of Jerusalem. And, like, as I said, he immediately gets his kingdom. After he dies, everything goes to shit.
Yeah. He
Which
was the one
sucks.
keeping it together.
He was the one keeping it together because, like, again, while he was alive, he was known for, like, being a very good leader.
Yeah.
He was
I think
on-
that's like even sadder too, because like if he didn't have leprosy, there is a chance he would have like actually lived for quite a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was amazing what he accomplished.
So the reason that I know of Baldwin IV is because for a while there, I loved watching movies that had really good battle scenes.
Yeah.
And so there's a movie called Kingdom of Heaven, which stars Orlando Bloom. And it details the Kingdom of Jerusalem during the Crusades, and it tells about Baldwin's life. Not all of his life, because the focus is on a blacksmith who is played by Orlando Bloom. And he's gorgeous, so why would we focus on a man with leprosy? So I knew all about this, and I was like,
Yeah.
because even in that movie, when Baldwin dies, it all immediately goes to shit.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh yeah, this guy. But what made me think of that, or what made me, I wanted to fact check something, because you said that he was wearing a mask, and that's a direct tie from the movie. So I looked it up, and he never did. He never wore a
really?
mask. He never covered up his torso to like.
Wow.
So he was always just displaying the fact that, despite the fact that he was being eaten alive by leprosy, he was still
Yeah.
out on a battlefield. Like, he wasn't afraid to show that, which I think would have made him way more badass if they had shown him in the movie being that. But it is kind of upsetting that, the second he fucking died, everything went tits up.
Yeah. No, it does absolutely suck that is what happened. And I think it's wild that he didn't wear a mask. I just assumed he wore a mask because, like, that was common practice with, like, people who are
Yeah.
suffering from leprosy.
Yeah, which is why I also wanted to check. I was like, I know that this was the thing. They wore face masks or face cloths or...
Yeah. So I think that's wild that he didn't. So that's really fucking cool.
Yeah, no, and I was like, oh shit, that makes him a little bit more badass. ZD, thank you for
Absolutely.
coming to the podcast. Do you have any words that you'd like to share with your audience? She has nothing to say.
But yeah, I think he was an amazing leader, and he kind of had he knew to keep everything in check. He had to break a peace pact that had been for a while, and everyone was kind of what's going on here? And then immediately we're like, oh, okay, that was the right fucking decision. So
yeah,
it's wild.
All right, so as Zach mentioned, he did go a little bit over his time, so I will try to get this information out and not sound like I'm just speed reading for fun.
Boom. It's me, Zachary, coming into the middle of the episode here to give you a little bit of information about Magic Mind. If you've been here on the podcast, or listened to the podcast rather, for quite some time now, you've probably heard us talk about Magic Mind, but if you haven't, well, first off, what are you doing? This is episode 96 or something. Go back to the beginning. But also welcome. Anyway, I digress. Magic Mind is a healthy energy shot full of nootropics that has been kind enough to sponsor our lovely shenanigans for quite some time now. Magic Mind is a all-natural healthy energy shot full of green juice that is just fantastic. It gives you a little bit of an energy boost without needing any extra caffeine and some of the crash and jitters that happen from coffee. I know we've talked about it, as I said, on the podcast before, but I personally really enjoy taking Magic Mind later on in the day, right around 2 o'clock. My job, I have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I work from around 6 o'clock to 2 o'clock. So when 2 o'clock comes and it's time to go to the gym after working, I don't really want to sit there and go get a coffee that's going to upset my stomach or get me too jittery and halfway through my workout I crash, or take a bunch of pre-workout that's going to make me way too hyped up and then I'm going to get all hot flushed and feel like garbage as soon as I get home. So taking Magic Mind is a really nice opportunity to still get a little bit of natural energy from the matcha and other natural sources of caffeine that isn't as crazy as a large cup of coffee. If you want to try Magic Mind for yourself, you can head on over to magicmind.com/whistory and use our discount code WHistory20 in order to receive 20% off your first order. That's magicmind.com/whistory, offer code WHistory20.
So, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone who doesn't identify with those gender labels, first of all, I need to make sure that my coworkers can still hear me. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you.
You are loud and clear.
Okay. Well, I just know that the other day when we were playing D&D, all of a sudden I couldn't hear anyone, but I was clear. So, I didn't want to steamroll over you guys if I couldn't hear jokes that you were making. Anyways. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone who doesn't identify with those gender labels, I'm bringing back a series that I did way back when, and I'm telling a story about a wonderful woman of history. I know that I typically made them wonderfully weird women of history, but this woman is just kind of wonderful, so bite me. Tonight I'm telling a story about a girl named Sarah. And for the first part of my story, I am going to make a fool of myself by trying to pronounce a bunch of names that come from West Africa. So, buckle up for that.
I'm here.
If I get it wrong, and we have any West African listeners or African listeners that can correct me, please do so respectfully. If not, I'm sure Steve will research it and do his best somewhere down the line. Oh, shit, we lost someone.
Did we lose Zach?
We lost Zach.
All right.
Brief technical interlude here, folks.
Finally, now we can
just
plan
vamp. We can just
plans.
I don't know what the plan
is.
I guess we wait to hear from him about what's going on. We might have to sing ourselves out.
Sing ourselves out.
Huh? How was your day?
What
he's back.
What kind of song are you hoping to sing?
Zach, are you with us?
I'm here, sorry. I said I said to just keep going.
We were just vamping for a little bit. I didn't want to I did acknowledge that you were gone because I had to. Anyways,
Appreciate it.
We'll keep on keeping on.
Keep on trying.
So Sarah was born in 1843, and as I was mentioning, she was born in West Africa, in a tribe or in a. I'm gonna fuck these names up so bad. In Yoruba, or in a Yoruba village called Oke Odan. I don't know if that's right. Please don't yell at me. Region in which she grew up was very war-torn, and as a result, her parents died, and she became a slave to a man named King Gizo of Dahomey when she was 5 years old.
Jeez.
At a certain point, England, jolly old England, decided that it wanted to stop dealing in slaves. And
that's a nice decision.
As such,
good.
in 1850, emissary named Frederick E. Forbes gets sent to Dahomey to speak with King Gizo and explains that England will no longer be involved in the slave trade.
Lays it down for them. It's
Gizo-
like, we politely don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, we don't want to be associated
We're
with
not
this.
into it. We're just like not interested anymore.
Hey, I know that you guys have been supplying us with slaves. We're done.
We just don't want to.
Gizo, upon hearing from Forbes that he wanted to, or that England intended to end the slave trade, said that he had no plans to end trading in slaves.
What a bastard.
And, like, the negotiations between Forbes and Gizo went on for a long time. And while they were there, or while Forbes was there, a ritual began where slaves and prisoners were being sacrificed to appease dead ancestors. And among these slaves... Yeah, as you so often do. I know I did it just last week. Among these slaves was our main character, Sarah. Sarah, at the time's name was Ina, and she was only 8 years old. And this gave...
Look, I'm all for appeasing the ancestors, but a child?
Yeah. Well, that's essentially what Forbes did, too, is... you know, he had traveled a lot in his lifetime. He had, you know, seen a ton of different things, and he had written a journal about this and basically said that this was the most horrific thing that he had seen. And it sort of gave him the opening he needed to say, like, hey, you little fuck. The Queen's not going to want to work with you anymore if you... killed children.
Hey, she might not like this.
Hey, everybody! It's like a fucking Bethesda game where it's like everybody will remember that.
Yeah, everyone disapproves.
As everyone disapproved. So Forbes says to King Gizo, you know, Queen Victoria would never work with a man who's killed children, and Gizo instead offers Sarah to Forbes as a gift to Queen Victoria, and he even says this is from the King of the Blacks to the Queen of the Whites. That's also pretty cocky of him to assume that he's, you know, the king.
All of them.
Yeah, all of them. But anyways.
Yeah, it's a little...
So in his journal...
Also, Queen Victoria...
Forbes...
Not as a white.
Huh?
As a white. Queen Victoria as a white, not my queen.
Not my queen either.
Not my queen.
Hashtag not my queen.
Especially not at that time.
Hashtag not my queen.
But anyways, Forbes wrote about Sarah in his journal saying that one of the captives of this dreadful slave hunt was an interesting girl. And he goes on to say that refusing this gift, or refusing her being gifted to Queen Victoria, would have, quote, signed her death warrant, which probably would have been carried into execution forthwith. And what that means is that they were literally about to kill her. And if he hadn't have said yes, they would have been like, fine, she dies.
Fine, she's dead. That's on
I
you.
mean,
This is on your hands.
Her blood is
There's
on your
nothing
hands.
we could have done.
So anyways. So he says yes, and he agrees to bring her back to, I almost said America, but that's not the case. He brings her back to
Not this time.
England. He gives her the surname Forbes for himself, and he also gives her the name Bonetta. So it's Forbes Bonetta, and Bonetta was the name of the ship that he was traveling on.
Okay.
So she returns to England as Sarah Forbes Bonetta.
A little convoluted, but I see the...
Yeah, at least it's not 15 fucking French names.
That's true.
Forbes eventually presents Sarah to the Queen. His original intention was to raise her himself, but he does end up giving her, or not giving her, but like presenting her to Queen Victoria. And Queen Victoria immediately becomes enraptured with this girl because she's very stately and presents herself very well, and she's also very intelligent and learns pretty quickly. And so she decides to adopt Sarah, who she called Sally, as a goddaughter.
Okay. I mean, I guess when you're the Queen of England, you can do whatever the fuck you want, so...
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I guess.
In 1851, while she was still 8 years old, Sarah develops a cough that a lot of the people that were in, the health circles thought was because of the changing of the air from Africa to England. And so on the Queen's dime, she gets sent back to England to attend boarding schools. And then she's brought back to... Did I say she got sent back to England?
Yeah.
She got sent back to Africa.
Okay.
But she's attending boarding schools, and then when she's 12 years old, Sarah is brought back to England to sort of live out the rest of her days. She regularly attends court with Queen Victoria. At the age of 18, she receives a proposal from a man named James Pinson Labulo Davies.
Okay.
He was a prominent...
Yeah, I thought you said there was not going to be a bunch of weird French names.
No.
Yeah, like, you
I
just
didn't say
said.
there weren't. I said at least hers doesn't have any.
Ah,
Oh, yeah,
okay.
you're right. Sorry. I got excited that...
I was pretty close to
We
not
were
having a
gonna-
15 named Frenchman in this story, but here we are.
Damn.
So he is a prominent and wealthy businessman in Yoruba, which is where Sarah came from. She ends up refusing his proposal a couple times, and in order to sort of compel Sarah to marry this man, the Queen has her moved into like an apartment with two elderly women that like looked like shit, and Sarah pretty quickly after that
The
was like,
women
"No, I'll
looked
marry him.
like
Yeah,
shit?
we can do this."
Okay.
The women
first
looked
off,
like shit, or the apartment
The apartment
looked like
looked like shit. Although I can't say
Oh, okay.
that the women didn't also look like shit potentially.
So, I didn't like Queen Victoria in the first place, but also, that's just... You can't coerce someone into a marriage. Like, that's fucked up.
I think you very clearly can.
shit. Oh, yeah. Zach, I've read a lot of historical romances.
Morally, you shouldn't do that.
Morally, you shouldn't. But, she's a fey queen, so that's not true. We're giving her too much power. So after the coercion of the Queen, Sarah agrees to marry this man. After their marriage, Sarah and James move back to Africa, where Sarah ends up having 3 children, The first of which is a daughter, and she obtains special permission from the Queen herself to name her daughter Victoria.
Okay.
Huh?
Okay. I guess that's cool.
The Queen is also listed as Victoria's godmother on all legal documents.
Okay.
Sarah ends up having a son named Arthur and another daughter named Stella. And unfortunately for Sarah, that cough ends up coming back, and it turns out to be tuberculosis, which she succumbs to in 1880. And upon her death, her daughter Victoria continues the relationship with Queen Victoria and visits court often. A national holiday is granted to her goddaughter when she passes like a music exam. So it's pretty clear to say that the Queen fucking loved her goddaughter pretty well. Also gives her an allowance every year from the crown. But anyways, it's not... I know there's not much what the fuck worthy in this story, but it is kind of like, you know, Queen Victoria had a black goddaughter that would have been a victim of a sacrifice and then became, you know, a little girl at court.
I think that's pretty what the fuck worthy, like...
Yeah.
I think that's kind of crazy, like... I've never heard of her.
It's a changing of the stars. So... But I thought it was a pretty interesting story.
Yeah.
I came across it a little while ago, and I was like, I've never fucking heard of this.
It's definitely interesting. I take some umbrages because I'm me and I see things certain ways.
And what ways do you see that?
I'm very glad that this child got saved from death.
Yeah.
I'm once again upset with the ruling class of England for treating people like pets rather than people. Because that's the vibe I got. And I don't know if that's the correct vibe, but that's the vibe I got.
So, I'm not sure. In my research, it didn't seem like she was inherently... Like, she wasn't parading Sarah around to be like, look at this thing that I found in Africa. It was like she actually liked the fact that Sarah was quick to learn and like knew how to hold herself at court. So there probably was an aspect of it that was like, and I mean, I think we all know Queen Victoria well enough to know that she was probably shady behind closed doors. So there probably was an aspect of it, like, did you see? But it's like, outwardly, she was not that.
Okay.
At least, yeah.
Maybe it's because I have such a specific interpretation of my feelings for the British aristocracy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair, though. Like, I think, like, your interpretation of the story is a fair assumption, considering how England and America have, like, historically treated black people. But, I don't know, it seems like she treated her kind of kind.
I
mean, at least kind enough for her daughter to have continued visiting court.
Yeah, that makes it a little bit better. I think the part that, like, threw me, that made me think that this was a kind of, I'm going to treat this person like a pet situation, was the kind of arranged marriage of, you didn't do what I told you, so now I'm going to, like, cut your living standards significantly.
Well, she didn't even, it wasn't even, like, a thing. I mean, the way that it was described is that it's not like she went to the Queen and said, this guy wants to marry me, but I don't want to, and then she sent her away. I think the Queen heard from this gentleman that she had been proposed to, and the Queen was just like, it could be worse. You could be living with two old biddies. That's also probably not the politically correct term anymore, but I don't know how else to say it. Two old Karens in, an apartment in Brighton, and sort of just...
That's so funny.
I get the part of it where that does feel shitty, but also consider the fact that arranged marriages still happen today.
Yeah.
And they happen in worse ways than someone being like, you could go live with your two awful...
Your old aunts.
Old aunts.
Yeah. You're right. That makes total sense. I just, from my perspective, immediately I was like, ooh, didn't like how that happened.
Yeah. So that's the end of my story.
And what a story it is.
All right. So we can jump into... Mine is not... We did not coordinate. We don't have to coordinate, but man, these are wildly different stories. So the name of my story, it's not art, it's fart.
It's classy.
And sometimes God blesses you with abilities that are beyond human comprehension, I think.
Yes.
We don't ask for the gifts, we just merely get them.
Okay.
Greatness is thrust upon you, or in this case, up your butt. And our story takes place tonight in... I'm gonna fuck up all of these French names, by the way.
Oh gosh.
Here's the thing.
So
it's not fucking them up if you're trying your hardest, but you should never try your hardest with French names.
Yeah. I just realized that, you know how in fantasy books you're just and they were on their way to
yeah.
With that's how I read French words. And so this story takes place in Marseille.
Yeah.
Where little Joseph Pujol was born.
Pujol?
And what would... Pujol, right? That sounds French.
Yeah, I like it very much. It's a very fun name.
It's definitely better than the
nice
Spanish
name.
Pronunciation of the same last name, which is Pujol. Which is...
Oh, God, no.
And I'm emphasizing that in such a way that it would offend people who speak Spanish. Because
No, I think they'd be like, no, he's got a point.
Softer than that. It's not like his last name is Pujol. It's like Pujols or something like that. But anyways,
I think that it's a good play on words considering what the story is about.
Considering the fart of it all?
Yeah.
Considering the fart of it all. So little Joseph Pujol was born in what would become the most important year of human history, 1857. His family was unremarkable, but his life took a turn when he was swimming in the sea as a lad. And he put his head underwater and he held his breath and he felt the cold water blast his butthole. It penetrated his butthole. And every character in Naruto who has experienced the 10,000 years of pain jujutsu, he ran to the shore and he was amazed to see water absolutely pouring from his ass.
Sentences are just making me more and more uncomfortable.
He was like, this had to be what Mary experienced when Gabriel came down and announced Jesus. I'm seeing the same thing, except it's water from my butt. Also, you can't laugh.
I have no choice.
We're never gonna get through this story if you laugh.
I'll try.
Also, some accounts describe it as a great deal of water, but
Just an ass geyser? What the fuck?
also, who was interviewed after? Like, how much water was
All
poured
the
out of that
fucking
boy's
bystanders.
butt?
No one even gets interviewed. Everyone just writes their own accounts of like, I was there when this man's ass fell out of water.
It wasn't even a man. He was a boy. He was like a 10-year-old boy.
When this 10-year-old
like-
boy's ass started falling out.
I just like imagine reporters like running up to people and be like, "Did you see the butt waterfall?" Anyway, so these bystanders, some of them were like, it was a lot of water, but I would like to posit that any amount of water pouring from your butt is a lot.
Yeah.
It was never meant to be there.
It's not supposed to happen. That's just not.
Yeah.
But like, so because I'm making this argument, like, who can guess like the amount of water at
Just
this point?
gallons.
It's like one of those old you remember when you used to walk into a library and it would be like, how many jelly beans are in this? It's just people
yeah.
it's
A
just
guessing
people
jar.
being like, how many gallons of water can fit in this 10-year-old boy's ass?
Like, it's anywhere between 10 to 15 gallons I can fit in this small boy. His colon is just filled with it. So he was like concerned.
As you should
And
be.
yeah, he was like, "Ooh, that's weird." But he went to a doctor, and in a equally surprising twist of fate, the doctor said that you're fine. Your body.
Don't worry about it.
Hey doc, I just had an entire gallon enema.
The doctor was just like, your body is a wonderland. Like, it's a beautiful thing crafted by God. And so Joseph proceeded to explore this new ability, like, avidly.
As you do.
So he soon learned that with a little abdominal control, I can't. I wrote these notes at work and it didn't seem this funny. He soon learned that with like a little abdominal control, he could suck up water into his butt. Like a wet vac.
Oh my god. He's a human blowfish.
Yeah. So he could suck up water into his butt like a wet vac, and he could shoot it several meters with like impressive force.
Oh my gosh.
Like a pressure washer.
He's a pressure washer. He's a butt cannon pressure washer.
Butt cannon.
Yeah, he like could butt blast stuff. So he must have had like the cleanest colon anyone has ever seen.
And that person had the dirtiest house after he was done cleaning it.
I mean, probably. So he then learned he could do the same thing with air and let it out at will. And this allowed him to be able to like replicate notes and do simple tunes. Not only did this make the kids at school go absolutely wild, but when he joined the army, his army bros loved it too.
We're all just
they-
10-year-old boys.
Yup.
I think if I met a person that could make, like, a compelling song in fart, I'd be like, man, that's impressive.
I would too. I'd be like, holy shit, wow. You're a force.
To be
You're a
reckoned
tour
with.
force. You're a force to... You, like, France would France should have kept him in the army because it's like they never would have lost again. Like, get out there. World War I's coming. So we have to like start the legends now.
Yeah.
So by the time World War I comes, they'll be like, don't mess with the French. They have the old butt blaster over there. So they gave him the nickname Le Petoman, which translates to a fartiste.
A fartiste.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate it so much.
It's
The
so
fartiste.
good.
It's really good. It's like honestly one of the most inspired nicknames I've ever heard. So when he left the service, which was a mistake on the part of the French government.
When he left the service after giving all of their enemies pink eye.
That's what I'm saying, dude. He's like, he could have been poison gas before poison gas.
Oh, he was poisoning something.
He was poisoning something. So when he left the service, you may be wondering, where did old Joseph go? And the answer is he opened a bakery.
Yeah, because that's the logical next step.
Yeah. So while he had the bakery, he also made a foray into show business.
Man, I was waiting for it.
Yeah, you were waiting for it. So it took him about 5 years.
He made bread with his ass.
No.
No,
That's
ass
illegal.
bread allowed.
He streamed it on TikTok.
Dude, it's so illegal, even on TikTok, I think. So, it took him 5 years to really lean into fartistry and develop his act, but once he did, it wasn't long before, you guessed it, the Moulin fucking Rouge came calling. They're like,
yeah.
we've heard good things. We've heard great things about you. And in 1892, he appeared in the Moulin Rouge, and some of his act's highlights included playing songs on the ocarina, like some butt-based Legend of Zelda porn. He... I can't believe I got through that. He could also blow out a candle from, like, yards away.
I'm still not over ass blasting Gerudo Village, dude.
Yeah, dude. He was like, he was honestly a true artist. He also mimicked farts. Like, he was like, oh, this is the fart of a new bride. And then he was like, this is like the absolute disgusting fart a wife would do after the honeymoon has ended. And she could really let it rip.
Oh, I thought... When you said that he could mimic farts, I thought you were saying that he was like the French version of a yak back, where like someone would fart and then he'd just like play it back to them.
Oh my god.
Oh, no.
Like he was a mockingbird
like,
for farts.
He was a farting bird. I hate this. That would be funny, but it was more like, this is what I think a new bride's farts would sound like. So his audience was also absolutely illustrious as well, with Edward, Prince of Wales, showing up, King Leopold II of Belgium, and Sigmund Freud, which I'm not really surprised about.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
No, I'm not surprised, but if anything, he was like writing it down. He's like, yeah, this is good. Some women laughed so hard that they passed out because of their corsets.
Yeah.
And they were just
That's
like,
good.
we can't. At one point, he became the highest paid entertainer in all of France, which I don't know what that says about the French.
That they like
good
everyone
things.
else love a good fart, you know?
That's true. They were like, we're not afraid to support this guy.
They also love errant speculation about what certain farts would sound like.
That's true, too. They're like, that's the best part. It's not the ocarina. It's
Best
the
part,
fart
he just
mimicry.
guesses what he thinks a fart would sound like.
That's just a fart.
We just
So
paid
he-
200 francs to watch this man
We
fart
paid-
on stage for an hour. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
We paid €200, which is a lot in 1892. To buy a house. I just want to see this guy fart. So he did part ways with the Moulin Rouge in 1895. He was sued by the owner for a breach of contract because I can't say that word. He fartnated people in public.
He what?
Like
He serenaded people with his farts.
His farts. Fartnated.
It's like Fartnado,
Yeah.
but different.
Yeah. It's more romantic.
Jeez.
So he fartnated people in public, but luckily there was another lady who had the same freak bowels as him to replace him at the Moulin Rouge. So then they didn't care about him as much. But it was fine because he had money. He opened his own theater and had many years of success until his two sons were disabled
Somebody
in World
fucked
War
this
One.
man? Why?
Yeah, dude. He was the highest paid entertainer in France. That's hot.
The French, dude.
I can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's sexy. I don't know what to tell you.
tell
there's-
me
it
tell
opens
me
up
that
a-
you'd find that sexy.
Listen, you know what I would find sexy about it? How much money he has.
That's true.
All right. So when his two sons came home from World War II, they were kind of fucked up, and he decided it was finally time to like put his butt away, like an old accordion,
Yeah.
and he went back to baking.
The imagery of it being an old accordion, though. Just like the as it deflates.
Sadly, he looks at it as he puts it away in the attic, and he's just like, "Goodbye, old friend," and his butt's like. So I went back to baking, and he finally died in 1945 at the ripe age of 88. And the Paris Medical School requested to study his legendary colon, but the family declined. They said that there are some things in this life which simply must be treated with reverence. And that is my story.
And what a hell of a story it was. Jeez.
That was my story.
Guys.
About
I just don't. I think I woke up my house. One, with the amount that I was laughing, but also when you told me that he had two sons. The yell that I just did. Somebody fucked this man. I think I woke people.
somebody did fuck him twice at
Twice
least.
at least.
Yeah, because they weren't twins.
I wonder if he ever had sex with the girl that had the similar bowels to him
Bruh, no, that would create children too powerful.
from the Moulin Rouge. What if it was something
yeah,
that
they'd
could
be-
be bred? Like, imagine
Oh my
if
God.
he created a dynasty of French
fart-
farters.
French fart warriors.
At what point does that become like a mutant power, though?
It already was.
Like-
It was the second that he started making money doing it.
Yeah, that's true. He could blow out candles from like yards away with his
Dude.
butt.
That's wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he was a one-man fire hose.
Yeah, he could. It's just like, quick, how are we gonna put out this burning building? He's like, never fear, and he slurps up water with his butt, and he starts shooting it.
I can't, dude. I just can't.
I don't know. He's truly a marvel.
The imagery of this hurts me.
Yeah.
He's like not even a bad looking dude.
Well, now I need to see a picture.
Like, I think, yeah, look up Joseph Pujol.
Joseph Pujols. Poo hole.
Joseph?
Joseph.
Poo hole.
The French farter.
He's not a bad looking guy.
The flatulist. He's a decent. He's not really a decent looking guy.
What do you mean? I'm looking at a picture of him right now.
Dude, all of these pictures with him being fucking bent over are terrible.
And music notes coming out of his butt.
Huh?
And he has music notes coming out of his
ass. I just hate this. Like, this picture is the one that they keep using. I'm going to post it in the Discord. This picture is so bad. It's just him with a finger up like, did you hear that? I farted.
Wait one moment and another will come.
Un moment, I have another fart for you.
Moment.
Jeez.
I have something special.
So anyways, that's the end of our episode. I'm going to let Zach do the social stuff.
Oh yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. I think that was a good story, guys.
No, it was a good story, and I don't think I've laughed that hard in forever.
Buck wild. But yes, as Matt alluded, we do have some socials that you can follow us on. If you would like to follow us, you can find us on Facebook. If you look up the Triumvirate Productions, you can find us on Instagram at _Triumvirate_Productions. And you can follow us on, or rather, help us out by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/Triumvirate Productions, where you get a bunch of whole fun little bonus stuffs from depending on which level you join. The other thing that if you already follow us and you don't have, $5 a month to give for the Patreon, the podcast cause, we totally understand that.
Be a patriot.
But you can also just give us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That really helps, make us seen more by people who just search, history, and we'll be the first one that pops up if you give us a little bit of rating or review. Helps with the algorithm. But yeah, that's that. Give us a follow, give us a like, tell a friend.
Tell all of the friends. So yeah, now that that's over, in the words of
the fartiste,
I would like to say the following. What the fuck, history?